What's good, fam? Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Got something special for you. Let's go through the roster. Let's look at some of these guys, talk about some of them. We got Anquan Barnes, 6'5", 314 pounds, critical component of that defensive line unit. Curious to see if he gets on the field. You got Ja'Cory Brooks, 6'2", 195. No real introduction needed for a big-time wide receiver in the SEC. Tyler Buchner at quarterback, 6'1", 215 pounds. Did you think that he was 215 pounds? And remember, Tyler Buchner has some wheels on him. Darian Dalcourt playing at center and at guard this year for Alabama, 6'3", 310 pounds. See, I wanted to kind of run through the roster and some of the heights and weights for you guys and point out some guys we haven't talked about. Monkel Goodwine, one of those guys, 6'4", 290 pounds. I really believe in Goodwine. I think this could be a year that he gets on the field in that rotation. Jalen Hale, another wide receiver we haven't quite talked about yet, 6'1", 189 pounds. And I think that he's someone that I've seen, during the springtime that he's made a couple plays. So let's not lose sight of him. Isaiah Hastings, 6'4", 290 pounds, similar size to Monkel Goodwine. Some of those defensive linemen we haven't talked about. This is Alabama running back Jase McClellan, 5'11", 212 pounds, really can pack a punch. He's an all-purpose running back. Saw some highlights of him on Twitter recently. Looks the part, clearly is the part. Super underrated, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Jalen Milroe at 6'2", 220 pounds. I think Milroe's more than 220 pounds, to be honest. I think he's probably floating around 230 pounds. Saw him the other night at a restaurant. Dude is completely jacked. Quandarrius Robinson, 6'5", 231 pounds. I would put an alert on Q Robinson. I've seen him hitting the bag. I've seen him chasing down the quarterback. I think Q Rob is due for a really big season, kind of an underrated alert on the defensive side of the ball. I know we don't necessarily list him as a starter, but I think he's going to get plenty of playing time this coming season for Alabama. This one was fun. You got Nick Saban, clearly the head football coach, but what about his height and weight? Right? I mean, do you say Saban is, when he gets up to the podium, because he does step up on the podium. So, and we're talking to him, you think Coach Saban's like 5'8", I would say, at the tallest. And I would say he's probably like $165 or something like that. Looks good, I think Coach Saban looks fantastic. I think he'll be 73 years old if I'm not mistaken. His birthday's on Halloween. Did you know that? And his favorite cake is carrot cake. And I don't know if he's still diving into the Little Debbie's, but when you get, kind of up in that age, you can do whatever the hell you want, right? To the right and to the left of him, that is Malachi Moore, number 13. And then number 22, that is Jalen Key. Been hearing some really good things about Jalen Key, to be honest. So I think when you look to that secondary rotation, Malachi is a guy who can play a variety of positions, as is Jalen Key. One and the same. Kind of they can play that star position or they can play safety. And that's really important. I think those two players this year are going to be really critical. Also hearing some good things about Trey Amos. As Coach Saban said, there is a lot of competition at that corner position. Ty Simpson, 6'2", 203 pounds. As we just saw, Tyler Buchner is 215 pounds. And again, these quarterbacks are all versatile, and Ty displayed his ability to showcase his athleticism really during the springtime when he ripped off that 45-yard touchdown run. I keep going back to his highlights, and this young man can extend plays, and that's something that we saw from Bryce Young as well. And I think Ty Simpson brings that. It's just a matter of time. Do we see that translate to Saturdays? Keanu Coote, outside linebacker, 6'4", 234 pounds. Super long, super lanky, has those arms that can rip past tackles and get to the quarterback. Him and Q Robinson are two guys at the outside linebacker position. As we've spoken about, that entire outside linebacker position just has a ton of depth and probably the deepest unit on the defensive side of the ball. Keanu Coote, certainly, when he gets his name called, I think he's going to be ready to go. Roydell Williams, straight bowling ball, 5'10", 214 pounds. They have Jase listed at 212. So as you can see, those running backs, they're imposing guys. You get going at 215 pounds, you're going to be tough to stop. And Roydell runs so hard that the best attribute that he has is close to the goal line, right? Feed him in those situations where you need a power type back. And not to say that Jase isn't, it's just that Roydell has a little bit more pop when you're looking to somebody in the goal line. New addition this year to the roster, this is Malik Benson. Everybody's going crazy about him, saying that he's going to be wide receiver number 1. Well, it's time to prove that. Can he be a guy that can be consistent and have that high level of performance and consistency that Coach Saban is looking for? 6'1", 195 pounds, did an incredible job at the junior college level, went crazy, had tons of catches, tons of yards, but, welcome to the SEC. Let's see what you can do, Malik. All eyes on you, certainly. You got Kendrick Blackshire right here. And everybody has been asking about Kendrick Blackshire, and rightfully so. Remember when he got to the University of Alabama, the guy was one of the most shredded. The guy looked like he was ready for the NFL in high school. Everybody remembers those pictures of him. And now, it's taking him a little bit of time to get on the field. Will this be a year that he gets inside the rotation? It's up to him. I think he's been here. He knows the system. So keep an eye on Kendrick Blackshire this coming season. Isaiah Bond, Coach Saban just recently said that he's working at the special teams position as well, which is great to hear because Isaiah Bond has that electric type speed that you want. I think he can make people miss. He'd be a certain dangerous weapon at punt returner behind Kool-Aid, right? Kool-Aid, I think, averaged like 16 yards per punt return, and I think Isaiah Bond is one of the same. Can you imagine him returning kicks? Get him the football any way you can. I still think he's the most dangerous wide receiver along with Malik Benson. I think those guys are going to do some damage this year if they can get him the football. Tyler Buchner, 6'5", 330 pounds, just a tremendous asset for the Alabama Crimson Tide, playing at that guard position. Super intelligent, super articulate. This is the guy who wants to run the football. He wants that big ground game. Here's another shot right here of Tyler Buchner, number 8, and there behind him, number 4, is Jalen Milroe. 2 out of 3 quarterbacks that we are talking about, but people have been talking about recently Dylan Lonergan, right? The freshman that some say that he's been repping with the 2s. And as Tommy Rees said, a lot of these quarterbacks are repping with everybody. So Dylan Lonergan is a guy who looked really good during the springtime. And as we mentioned on, a video or two ago, maybe he's the dark horse in this entire race. Can you imagine if a freshman just kind of jumps up and steals the show? Jermaine Burton, 6 foot, 190 pounds. Last year caught for over 500 yards. And when you rewatch that Sugar Bowl game, Jermaine Burton came through. Coach Saban has had some positive things to say about Jermaine Burton this fall camp. Tim Keenan right here, center of your screen, 6'3", 338 pounds. That's just a monster of a man. I think he shed down some weight, just like Jaeden Roberts, because when he got here, he looked out of shape. Sometimes these high school guys, when they're bigger, they get here and they are out of shape. But I think Tim Keenan is going to be a solid number 2 at that DT position behind Jaeden Roberts, or if it's Jameer and Latham, whoever it's going to be. I think those guys are going to provide solid depth. Wilkin Formby, just a freshman right here out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 6'7", 320 pounds. A lot of these freshman offensive linemen that Eric Wolford brought in are just absolutely monsters. Big guys like 6'7" and 330 and above. This is Antonio Kite. He is 6'1", 180 pounds. One of the defensive backs that we haven't quite spoken about. I think there's so much depth at that secondary position and a lot of new names to kind of focus on that we haven't spoken about. Antonio Kite, and he has a big support here on our YouTube channel, so we'll continue to track his progress and bring you updates on him. J.C. Latham, the university roster has him right now at 330 pounds, but as you know, Latham just posted on Instagram and on Twitter that he is 6'6", 360 pounds, looks gigantic, and still carries that weight so well. So you have huge tackles. If it's Caden Proctor or Pritchett and then J.C. Latham, those guys are just absolutely monsters. Number 45 in the center of your screen, that is Robbie Oots, and the number 88 is Ketzelman. The center of your screen, Oots is actually 260 pounds. Get him the football in some short space, right? You have Jaeden Roberts, who's actually a redshirt freshman at the University of Alabama, offensive lineman, 6'5", 316 pounds. So when you look to that second tier offensive line group, and even the third team, I think Coach Saban is still looking for that depth and for those guys to improve their game. Number 34 right there, that is Q Robinson, as we've spoken about. To the far right of your screen, that is Keon Keeley, it looks like. He is 6'5", 242 pounds as a true freshman. And then you got Tim Keenan in the center of your screen, that's number 96. And then you have another photo coming up of the GOAT, Coach Saban, who once again I think the mood and kind of the overall mentality that he has had has been really uplifting. From talking about kicking his players' ass and staying on them to saying that he wants the quarterbacks to force them to play the quarterback. Like these messages right now that we're getting from Coach Saban, this is some of the best fall camp press conferences, honestly, that we've had in quite some time. Good photo to end on right here. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. If you like the work, if you like the content, I'll also put the Venmo link at the bottom of the comment box. So any tips, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. A thumbs up goes a long way. You can also hit the join button at the bottom of this video to become a member of our YouTube channel. You can become a fan funder. So one more time, coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube.